Villalobos McAnderson. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You got it.
There we go. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Rico. Welcome back again to another episode of the Ozone Lair Media. Don't forget to subscribe. Dennis is here to let you know who we have today.
Today, man, we're just gonna skip the formalities altogether. I have a dear spiritual sister of mine that I am so happy to have on the set today. More than titles or anything, she's just an amazing human being. Alejandra Villalobos, thank you for being here. She is president and CEO of Villalobos Vitality. She's does a lot of work in the community with nonprofit organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters, Band of Angels. She's just a powerhouse here in the community and, advocating for those voices that are underrepresented, really. So, Alejandra, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you
Yes,
for coming.
super excited.
Yes, sister, we've been talking about this for a while, and I'm glad that we were able to make it happen today. There's so much that we could get into. Before we even started the recording, we were just flowing and channeling, and it's so much to talk about. But where would you like to start? I guess I'll let you kind of lead there, and we can start unpacking.
Yeah, I always like to start with gratitude. So I just super grateful to be here. Thank you for holding the space. Grateful for this beautiful day and for my people. And I just, whenever I start podcasts, I'm like, just do this in an honorable way, in a good way, letting spirit speak through me, speaking through light. And so gratitude for both of you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But, as far as the conversation where it should go, I think we should start maybe with healing, right? Because you do a lot of that work in the community. One of the things that I know you for is the healing circles that you host.
Yeah.
For community healing circles, and those are once a month, right? That I've had the opportunity to do a couple of them, and they're truly amazing. Just to be able to sit in circle with people that can disconnect from what's going on, out in this world. And just to be able to be there and share our struggle, our stories, and something very powerful about a circle of people just being open and sharing.
Yeah, I think that there's so much medicine and community. There's so much medicine and ceremony. And in this space, we connect to our indigeneity. And so when you grow those roots, then you just remember you're part of something much bigger, and it makes it easier to navigate life. Have been doing this work for many, many lifetimes. But in this lifetime, it's been about 6 years.
Okay.
And my heart and my passion is really children and elders. So any nonprofits or a lot of work that I do is to make, I know it sounds so cheesy to be like, to make the world a better place for kids, but truly, that is why. That is why. Because, even if it's just like a little piedrita that I put on the road, it's still that. And I know that that's going to
have a ripple effect.
In future generations. And I know that the work that I do on myself, and we talk about this in healing circles all the time, is when you start to work on yourself, when you start to heal yourself, it's not just you, but you're healing your family, you're healing your lineage, you're healing your community. So it's just as important to do the internal work as much as you do the external work.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that statement, because how are you supposed to have an impact on somebody else if there's still, darkness in you, right? If you still have to work on yourself.
Yeah, but also thinking about, we're all immigrants or children of immigrants, right? And what a privilege it is to be able to do that, right? Because my parents are now, in their late 60s, and now they're really starting to focus on their healing, but they didn't have that privilege, right? They had to survive. That was their work, to just survive and to be here and to take care of us. And so each generation, I feel like if we do, that's why that little stone matters, because now I see my children, and they're not only do they not have to be in survival mode, but now they American dream. Now we're talking about like you can do whatever you want, you know, and we just want to keep that going.
So, do you think that being in survival mode keeps you from becoming more conscious?
100%.
Yeah.
100%, because our bodies, our biology, our psychology, everything in us is made to survive. So if you are in survival mode, you're constantly putting out fires, right? So if you're focusing on like the fires that are happening, you can't like take time to look at the sky, take time to appreciate little things, right? You're just trying to keep it together. And so it is, and knowing that sometimes like doing the uncomfortable things like stopping when you feel like you have to fight is the work sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, Rick, you were going to say something?
No, I was thinking about gratitude and consciousness, you know, because like a lot of times, like when you said, you know, when you take time to look at the sky, I feel like that's more gratitude. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the Matrix keeps us from feeling that gratitude. But in terms of consciousness, I feel like with myself, I feel like that actually made me more conscious.
Oh, because you were in survival mode?
Yeah.
Like it pushed, like
it forced me to be in my head.
Yes. Like I do think that when you are at the lowest, right? It's kind of like that turning point where you can make a different choice and there is consciousness in that. But it's so much harder to, for me, it's like once you're on that level to make that choice. For me, like grief has been the biggest teacher. There's been moments where it wasn't necessarily like survival where it was like 20 years ago with bills and things like that. But it was like so much grief. Like when my grandmother passed away, when my cousin passed away, like that was my biggest teacher because it took me down to like the stubs, right? Yeah. And so then a lot of like my people pleasing was healed. I didn't have the capacity to give more. I didn't have enough for myself.
Do you feel like consciousness comes from trauma?
I think that it's two different things. I think that trauma can create the opportunity for consciousness, but I also think that we have to get out of the belief as people that it has to be hard, because I think that that's also part of the programming that we have to like grind through, and it's this, you know, like when the way that I want to see my people now, the way that I want to, what I'm calling in for myself is ease, is it's being able to learn like the same lessons, not through the ones that are going to come anyways, right? When we lose someone and when those big things happen in life, but like, man, through playing with my kid, I'm learning lessons, you know, through observing, you know, my child play sports. Oh, talk about lessons there, right? Because you see how many parents project their things that they didn't get to accomplish on their kids, you know, and sometimes I hear things from parents that are like, you know, you don't deserve that treat. You lost. Let's go. And I'm like, no, these are such great opportunities to teach them. Like the moment has passed, prepare for the next thing. And sometimes I feel like we lose those opportunities. So I think that it's really hard to say what is consciousness, what is the path, because I think it's so different for every single person. And to me, it's less on what is the vehicle that is going to open you up and make you conscious. Because some people it's religion, for some people it's meditation, for some people it's a very big traumatic event. Right. But it's more about being in the vehicle to go towards, you know, the path of consciousness. Yeah,
I agree with that, because I feel like growing up, I was never told to like. And I was going to ask you that about your parents, because you mentioned your parents, and I in the moment I was thinking they didn't have the knowledge we have it nowadays, as far as like self-care. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because even me, in my generation, I don't remember hearing that. Yeah. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're good before you try to go help someone else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had the privilege of having some really hard conversations with my parents, but in those hard conversations, there was a lot of healing. Yeah. And I remember saying to my dad, because my dad wasn't present, because he was working 2-3 jobs, right? Because he was taking care of his family, but you still have those same abandonment issues. And so I remember my father and I having a conversation, and I was able to recognize, because a lot of the work that I did was really interesting. In meditation, they had me go back and experience some of traumatic events or things as an inner child. And then later on, they would have me come back to the same moment, and they would have me see it from my parents' perspective, you know? And so when I finally had this conversation with my dad, I said, I recognize, you know, that I felt abandoned, but I also recognize that you are probably hurting because you probably missed out on a lot of things that you didn't want to miss on, you know? And so there is pain on both sides. And my father like opened up, which I you know, very stoic Mexican man, like, you know, very few words. But he said, you know, when I was little, there just wasn't enough to eat. Like, there just was not enough food. Oldest of 8, you know, grew up in Mexico. And he said that, like, he was so laser focused that he never wanted us to open the fridge door and for there to not be food. So that's I mean, like, that was the goal, right?
That was his probably biggest fear.
Right, exactly.
It was his biggest fear to have to experience that. And therefore he showed you guys love by working all the time,
by providing
and providing.
Exactly.
And that was his main priority. Not realizing maybe at the time that was, you know, that the time with you guys probably would have been, you know,
beneficial,
more beneficial,
maybe,
more
but
valuable.
Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? I think that's the beautiful part of healing, is like you start to recognize all these things have made me who I am today, and having gratitude for that.
Are your parents still married?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna add, when you have that family, that, you know, your actual family, for the male, it becomes a lot easier for him to just do that, provide, because it's really difficult when you have a dynamic family like that, because you can't, like in my situation, I don't like putting my responsibilities on my partner. You know what I mean? Because our kids are our kids. We don't have kids together. So I've learned that it becomes way more difficult. And even though she will pick it up, I just don't like the feeling of doing it, because I look at it like it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's something there for you, though, right?
Yeah.
Because being partners, like, what a gift it is to be able to help my partner and to make things easier, regardless of what the thing is. And I think that that's what real partnership is. Like, we're in this together, regardless if it's apples, oranges, A's, B's, or C's, but it's about, like, the union and knowing that, like, I got you. Yeah. And I feel like as a man, sometimes it's hard to, like, let that go. And that's part of
that's
the
the programming.
Man.
That's the programming.
I am so glad we're getting into this.
You think that's Latinos, or you think that's
I think it's all. I think it's all men. I think it's all men. But I
don't
specifically,
think it's all men, because some men, they like get taken care of.
There's exceptions to everything, right?
Right.
No, but I think, especially speaking, you know, and I'm gonna, because I want this to be healing for our people, is that I think men have a really short runway sometimes, right? You guys go from being little boys to having some pretty big expectations and responsibilities fairly quickly.
I got you.
You know, and so you go from being able to, like, you know, pee outside on a tree to, like, now you're like, no, you're responsible for this. And I think one of the things that is really hard that we don't recognize when we talk to children, the impact of our words, right? So, thank you. My guides are always talking to me, and I'm going to share a story with my cousin-in-law, passed away, but my nephew, when he came, we brought them out for a week to heal and to do work, you know, because his father had just passed away. And he had already decided, like, I'm the man of the house. And he was, like, you know, a junior, senior in high school. And his dad from the other side was like, no, that is not your responsibility. This is your mother's responsibility. And you could just feel, like, this weight and this is to say he is a very hands-on and responsible, young man that helps his mom anyways. But the weight of like, I don't have to be the man of the house. You could just feel it, like it just melted off his shoulders, and even my oldest all the time, so he said something recently, like, if someone said something to you, and I was like, no, like, I just want them to be kids as long as they can be kids, especially young men, because, it just, after a while, you can't, like, even be very physical. I started to notice when my boys would be like, and I touch them, I'm like, oh, no. Mom's gonna, like, I love physical touch, obviously a healer, but I'm always gonna touch you. And so I just think that it's such a short runway between boys, and you become men really quick, and a lot is expected, that there's a lot that gets lost. There's a lot that happens like abruptly, and sometimes there isn't a lot of opportunities to go back and look at that. So I think as men, you're just like, just powering through, and then there's more that gets piled on, and we're just powering through. In those moments where you do stop, or you don't even allow yourself to stop, thank you, because they're just showing me like kind of trudging through mud, because you're like, if I stop, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep going. So you just power through everything.
Yeah,
I could agree.
Absolutely, yeah. That's, and it's hard to put that down, to put that burden down, or even just rely on somebody else, because I think that's like, for a man, that's the biggest, most vulnerable spot to be.
Ask for help.
Yeah,
is to have to depend on somebody else.
Yeah, but I will tell you, men, especially those that want to find a partner, like, that's what women are looking for. Like, now seeing how many women, and the statistics of, there a lot less women are getting married and having kids. When a man shares his emotions and shares where he is at and asks for help, that actually makes women feel safer. Because then I know I don't have to assume, I don't have to create stories. Whatever it is that you're going through, we're going to have a conversation about it, and we're going to move through it together. And so there's a lot there.
It's crazy you say that, because I think, and I could probably speak for a lot of men, that we believe that women don't want to hear that. That they don't want us to show, quote unquote, weakness. That they want a strong man. But
that is a strong man. You have the confidence to talk about your emotions and to be uncomfortable. That's a strong man.
Just don't do it too much.
I will tell you, my favorite thing in life is to sit and just talk to my husband. Yeah. Like, we have a podcast that is not every day we're at least sitting and just talking and conversing about what we feel. And then we talk about our dreams, and then we reflect on where we're at. It makes the relationship so much more intimate. And so to me, that's those roots, you know?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think mostly women like talking to their husbands. Because as a man, sometimes you're like, man, I got all this stuff I need to do.
Okay, then you need to be my husband. I'm not the one talking. I am not the one talking.
No, true. Because sometimes I blow her ear about the podcast and all this. I'm sure she's like,
I'm just like, yes. Yeah.
It's just different times, I guess, that we're living in. It's hard to know what a man's supposed to be in this day and age, or just a person in general. Because as we were talking before we started, recording, this transition, right, of, and everybody's feeling it. I think if I had to really say, like, from like 2019, post-pandemic, and then, the pandemic hit, it's just everybody had sort of started hoping for some sort of normal to return. And and there's no such thing anymore.
Yeah.
And this is the new norm. And so many things happening, and we get a front seat out of all of it. And so it's so hard to process. Sometimes you can get caught up in it. I have to disconnect from it, because I gotta protect my mental health, my energy, because I still have to be functional. And if you consume too much of it, it could drive you crazy.
Yeah.
But we're living in some times right now that we don't quite know how to respond, and that's why healing is so important. This community circles that you hold, healing circles that you hold, and why this work is so important, because there's so many people in need of it. People are looking for connection, and they're looking for some sort of answer, because this is definitely not out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's internal, and the healing circles are really special because you can try to fix whatever you want in your world, even, physical ailments. But to me, like, the circles address your soul, right? And the soul work is completely different than, getting your eyes checked, migraine, like the physical, taking care of yourself. And in those moments, the reason why it's so powerful, one, is because when we sit in circle, you know how I start all of my circles. All of you are welcome, and all of you is welcome. And also I talk about how, yes, I'm the one that's leading the circle, but everyone has medicine there, and everyone is there for a reason. And it's about sharing your medicine with others. And it's crazy to see that within a couple of hours, people that are complete strangers, at the end, you'll see them hugging, you'll see them sharing their experiences with one another, because there is you don't have to have your guard up in that space. Like that is my goal, to fill that room with so much love that when you walk in and you see that from people, they're just like,
yeah, it's like a load off it, but it's sort of like this somatic release, because whatever it is that is being carried, it also manifests in some physical form, right? And the healing is holistically. Rick, we were talking about this the other day over the phone. I don't know if you remember, where, I got to, telling you about, when I was doing plant medicine work, I was sort of working the spiritual, right? But I said, it was like there's also the physical part, and there's also the emotional and the emotional and mental self as well. So, all those areas need attention in some way, shape, or form.
all the bodies.
And so, for a couple years, I worked with plant medicine to try to figure out, the spiritual side of things, right? I went down this rabbit hole, but then I didn't realize that it was never about the plant. Because it helped, but it was never about that. And so I haven't done any kind of plant medicine work, because I realized that I did the work that I needed to do there. And then I started, just kind of working on
the integration piece,
the
and the shifting and the patterns, and doing the physical work.
Right, because then after that, plant medicine was therapy. So then at this point, I'm working, my emotional and mental, right? And so I did 2 years of therapy. I started cutting out substances that weren't really helping me, and then sleeping better, eating better, training, and so the physical part also as well. And so it's just, when you do really start showing love to yourself, and doing that work that we were just talking about, is sometimes very tangible. People think that this is something like out of your reach, that or that you need something outside of you, and you can start with something as simple as eating better, or exercise it. Or,
making sure you get enough sleep, getting out in nature, having sufficient water. Yeah, but that's so unique. And that's why, like Rick was saying, everyone's path is unique into them, because for you, it was doing the spiritual work first and then taking care of the physical body. Where for me, the way that I got into this work is that my physical body was carrying so much stress that it started to break down and there was disease in my body. So I had to heal the physical body before I could even tap into the spirituality, right? And so that's why it's so, I'm just at, and I keep saying this, but I'm just at a place now where I think that people are so unique and your journey is so beautiful and unique that you can't even say this is the thing to do for all, right? And that's why you need to have like that inner teacher and trust yourself. And in the beginning, you may need someone to guide you to learn that discernment and to understand yourself and to even see yourself, to be that mirror. But at the end of the day, it's about you. Like I always say, we enter this journey alone and we're going to leave this journey alone. So who do I want to be? And where I am now, I feel like a lot of the work that I did before was like the past, the things that happened to me as a child, the traumas that I endured. And now it's more like looking forward and like projecting light into the future, you know, being able to see like our people in a different way than what we've been programmed to see ourselves in. And, you know, I don't know if I shared with you, but I'm doing like a lot of work with my 7th generation first granddaughter. Like I'm never going to meet her, but I just keep sending all of these gifts. And when I meditate and connecting, because I know that prayer, energy, love, there is no time and space. So when you think about someone, when you're praying for someone, when you're sending them love, they're going to receive it. But not only am I doing it to the people around me that I know in physical form, but like future generations, you know, because like to me, I think about some of the blessings that I'm receiving. There's the things
from
that
your
I'm
ancestors.
like from my ancestors, from my grandmother, from my mother, you know? And so when you start to see the chain and when you start to see that it's not just me, and like I said, that bigger picture, then you start to be like, oh, so what I'm doing is really going to impact, you know?
Yeah, it's like a flow.
The river. They just, in meditation, they show me like a river. So I'm just putting like this, and it's these blessings and these bundles and medicine in the river. And I could just see them like, and then they disappear and they'll go to where they need to go.
Wow, that's amazing. It's interesting you said 7 generations. When I did Sweat Lodge in Oaxaca, part of the process was to honor your ancestors 7 generations back. And is there something in particular about the number 7, or you know, or why particularly 7 generations and not 3 or 4? Or
Well, no, but I mean, 7's a sacred number, and I think that that's what's used a lot. And when you think about 7 generations, how much time that is, you know, but to me, I don't know. I was like, are we getting into... I'm not a numerologist, but I was like, are we getting into angel numbers now? Because to me, you know, when I see 777, to me, that's like a God wink. That's like, oh, my team's around. It's a good sign you're on the path, you know? When I see 222, they're telling me like, what is not in balance? And so then I have to do self-inventory, like what part of me is not in balance, feminine, masculine, or external, internal, head, heart. And so whenever I see numbers, I'm always seeing signs.
What about 444?
444. Oh, that's my favorite. Because to me, like 444 is like, we got you. So whatever it is, because usually you're thinking about something before you see the number. So like if I'm stressed out about, you know, my kid at school or like, you know, an invoice, when I see 444, they're like, we already took care of it. Don't even stress. So that's what 444 means to me. Yeah.
I see 1111 quite a bit, and especially after like my transition from and my separation, I started seeing that number quite frequently. My apartment number was 111, and my zip code, and it just kept on showing up.
Once you're open, you see it. You see it everywhere. For me, like it's not even angel numbers anymore. I literally see my name, like Ale, or I'll see like in in cars will be like ALX. We're at a game and someone will scream Alex. And so I'm like, got it. Yes.
Yeah, I wonder what that is, right? Because I was oblivious to all of it before.
Yeah.
And I mean for years, and all of a sudden, we go through this painful experience, and it's all coming and being revealed, and things of that nature, and I'm thinking, like, has it always been there? You know,
It has. Well, you're just now present enough to be able to see it.
all right.
Yeah, I feel like we grow into it.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. I feel like our consciousness as kids I feel like our consciousness is there, which is why kids go through depression and stuff like that. But I feel like it's not aware as to what it really is. You know what I mean? In terms of like spiritual.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I say that because I was just telling Aaliyah, I was at a nursing home this week, and there's a lot of patients there with dementia. And I was talking to my dad, and when I was talking to him, they were carrying out a body. And I'd been there for a week, you know, and so that person they carried out was someone that I probably was around at that time. And I was telling her that I was in a wing, and I was hearing a lady repeat a name like repetitively. And I noticed that the nurses were confused by it because they've been taking care of her for so long, and this is a new name that she's just repeating and repeating and repeating, and they're trying to figure out who this name is because they know her family members. And I noticed also that it was uncommon for her to be doing this because the other patients were asking what was wrong with her. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, something's happening right now. Something's shifting in this lady's, lifespan. And then her son shows up, and I noticed his son was worried as well. And later, they put her in a room. She was calming down, and I had to work in her room. And then later when that happened, I was talking to my dad, and the body passed, and I ended up going back to that wing, and it was her. You know what I'm saying? And it like shocked me because I was like, I was just part of this lady's last moments. You know what I'm saying? And who is this name? Was she seeing something?
Right. But I think America has a really hard time with death, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't. It's almost like when someone dies, it's like, we don't do anything with the body. We don't connect. There isn't a lot of ceremony. There's usually, like a end of life celebration, funeral, whatever. And then that's it, right? And so that's where I think that there's so much medicine and our cultura and remembering who we are, because I was someone that was like terrified of death. And now it is something that I have befriended, and while it is hard, I also know that it's just a transition. One of the biggest honors that I've had in my life is to walk my grandmother home when she passed away. And I was there for a week when she was in hospice, and I did every night. I had like the night shift from around 10 p.m. to 6 in the morning. And every night something magical happened. And while there was so much pain because she was dying, and there were times where she couldn't breathe and she was in pain, there were also these really beautiful moments where one night she wanted to dance. This is also part of the book that I'm supposed to write. So I'm like, of course, Rick brings this up. Because they've been on me to write about, this experience with my grandmother and how it helped heal a lot of my belief systems through grief. And the night that she wanted to dance, I remember I was like, okay. And I just kind of picked her up in a bear hug, and she just did a little shimmy, and she's like, okay, I'm tired. And she wanted to lay back down. But every night was a different lesson. And so to think about dance for our people, we used to dance, and we'd go into trances and go into it's a form of meditation. Now dancing has become such a way for me to clear my body, to connect, to remember, where I can to get into a trance-like state just by dancing, right? So we don't need You don't need plant medicine.
Or alcohol
Or alcohol. The goal, I understand some of these things are beneficial in the beginning that will help you get out of your own head as medicine. But when you start to become dependent on it or become attached, right? I think it's such a big part of the healing part too is like, what things are you attached to? And sometimes it's external, right? Things that make us feel good. And sometimes it's our ego. Sometimes it's like, how many people like me? What do they think about me?
Right.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that you point out that, in America, how it is sometimes hard to connect in that way, right? And our ancestors certainly seem to have that ability. And I was reading up on this the other day, and it's a certain term, like it says, clairvoyance is what they refer to, and it was related to the pineal gland and the calcification of it.
Yeah.
And so basically, the toxins and things that that you take on that might block you in a way, because I think sometimes back in my childhood, in Guatemala, and there was this sort of spiritual component to the living experience that you don't live here. And my great grandmother, she was an herbalist, right? She never really took me to a hospital. She cured me with herbs, and there's just sort of like this connection between the spiritual and the material that here in the States is hard to experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think as Indigenous people, and I think most people have an Indigenous connection, you just have to find it. You have to connect to your ancestors. We actually had that experience the last week. My son got sick, had the flu, and yeah, I made him teas. I knew what herbs to use, and he was like, "When are we going to the doctor?" And I was like, "What? Why do you feel we need to go to the doctor so he can tell me what's wrong?" And I'm like, yes, but also instead I'm telling you what's right. I'm telling you that your body can heal itself. I'm telling you that we already got through the fever. You're fine now. Yes, you're achy, but like that was such a beautiful moment to teach him that he doesn't have to be dependent on what someone else is telling him. Now, I'm like, if you ever need surgery or you break a bone, absolutely, we want to go find a doctor. But if I would have taken him to a doctor, it would have been the same thing of like, Tylenol, liquids.
Antibiotics,
and all of the things. And I think with Indigenous people, we live in between worlds, right? And we're able to connect to the spirit world and still be here in the physical, but that also takes like a lot of energy. For me, when I started to physically see things, to see spirits, to see spirit animals, it was like a very intense training because, yes, I do see this bear in front of me in spirit form and it's real, but not everyone else sees it. And you're not crazy. You're able to see more than the average person. And so when people try to rush through their healing journey, I'm like, no, you're gonna literally go crazy. You cannot, go from A to Z in a month. To me, it's like something that takes, it's like sopa. If it takes a long time, right, the better it's going to be. And so don't rush your healing journey. The lessons that are going to come will come. You don't have to go and seek them. And also like have so much grace and love with yourself as you're learning these things, because it is a death and a rebirth. And it is sometimes can be very painful, you know, but you can also learn through pleasure and joy as well.
Have you ever watched Undone?
Not great with titles and names. What's it about?
It's about a girl who's she sees things like the other people don't see, and it ends up being like a gift of hers that her dad, she inherited from her dad who had passed away, and like her dad's trying to help her figure something out or something. But like it's the way they laid it out is cool because she doesn't realize that what she thinks is wrong with her is actually her gift.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that's the same thing we're talking about, ADHD. Like, Is it that it's something that's bad, or is it that our society and infrastructure doesn't support someone that has so much energy and can be in multiple spaces at the same time, right?
Right.
So then you start to question, like, okay, what is real, you know?
Yeah.
Right. No, it's tough because, those 2 years that I spent working in my spirituality, it was kind of hard to accept this reality.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't want to have any part of it, where
After what?
Like the human.
yes, it's almost like I wanted to reject it. I was seeing what was happening and just didn't accept any of it, and didn't want to have any part of it.
Yeah.
And at some point I started, having to ground myself back down, because I started realizing that, that I'm here in this space and this time for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? That the matrix, as people refer to, right, is there's so much need for help, like for people that are desperate. And I'm like, how do I go back and help, right? How do I go back and help? Because I'm still here.
Yeah.
Eventually, I am going to be in a spirit form, anyways. Right.
Right.
We're going to exit this body no matter what.
This is why we came, right?
Right.
So it's like, but it's almost like, when you do plant medicine, meditate, those things, you go back into spirit form, and it feels so good. It's like coming home. So then you come back and you're like, oh, Earth,
Have you ever heard of avatar depression?
Avatar depression? No.
Never heard of that?
No.
That's actually a real thing. Like when the first Avatar movie came out,
Yeah.
and there were people that, I mean, this is from psychiatrists, people, they're therapists. There's people that experienced depression after watching that movie because they were so connected with the way of the world in that movie that when they came back to the real world, they were like, whoa, this world sucks. Because I remember I was one of those people, and I didn't know what it was until I realized that Avatar depression was a real thing.
Well, there's people that have near-death experience that they actually expressed that they didn't want to come back, right? And they, somehow ended up coming back, but, they experienced that, higher self that once you come back down is, it just doesn't seem like something you want to be part of.
But that's the coolest thing, is when you start to embody that in your physical form, when you start to experience spirit, creator, universe in your physical form. There's been so many times where I feel like my soul could have chosen to just go, but there's work that needs to be done. We're here for a reason. So I always tell people, especially if you're struggling, with having suicidal thoughts and things like that, I just say, I don't try to convince or change. I'm just like, no, we need your light. Like, we need your light here. We need your light here. We need you here. And so, yeah,
absolutely is. And that's why I just made it a point to, for one, just be present, right? To be here and continue the work on me so that I can show up in a better way.
Yes.
Right. And that's essentially where I'm at right now. And trying to incorporate basically what you said, right? That spirituality into my daily. That's where I went into this rabbit hole of figuring out, or finding out about the zodiac, the stars, the cosmos, and how it impacts us, and how God has divinely orchestrated all of it, and it has something to do. Our ancestors knew that. They looked at the cosmos and the stars, and they were very interested in it. And there's something about it that really resonated with me, and that's why I started.
It opened up something inside of you.
It certainly did, and part of that was, it's been hard trying to reconcile it with my faith, because I'm
gonna have some big questions for you today.
Yes, absolutely. But I definitely have to tell you that after digging into it, I feel more close to the Creator, to Jesus Christ, which is who is my Lord and Savior. Because the zodiac, as we were talking about earlier, is not horoscopes, is houses, right? Constellations, and how the Earth moves through those houses, and it spends about roughly 2,150 years in each one of those houses, right? And backwards. So as you were explaining, we're moving into the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, we're there.
We're there, okay? And so, but the age of Pisces was actually known as the age of Christ, because it started right around that time.
So he was a paisa.
No, Pisces, not paisa.
And it started right around that time, and it's actually when history is split into two, right?
Yeah.
There's time before Christ and time after Christ, and the sign of Pisces being the fish. Some in Christianity, the fish resembled, the movement, and even him in some of his own teachings would talk to disciples and said, "I'm going to make you fisher of men," right? And the whole baptism, and there's a lot of just symbolism in terms of just Pisces and Christ and whatnot. So that. Finding that out, I'm a Pisces, actually. Finding that out makes me understand that why I am so drawn to Christ, and why I'm so curious about him and want to learn more about his teachings, because it resonates with me in a deep level.
Yeah, he's one of your teachers. He's a master teacher for you in this lifetime, and a guide and all the things. And for me, I, grew up Catholic. My grandmother and my mother, very, very religious prayer warriors. And I had to have a moment where I really looked at religion from different perspectives, right? Not just like the beautiful parts that I got to experience, but also what are the the bad stuff that religion has also done, right? So there was this time where I really had to find like what my belief was with God, who is God. And then I feel like in meditation, in those spaces when you get to experience it, it wasn't until I started to do my own healing work where it's like, oh, God started to shift. It's not a big daddy in the sky, but it is this energy, this love, this thing that lives in all of us, that is in everything. And it was, then I'm like, oh my God, it's expansive and filled with love and bigger than anything that I could ever imagine. So then I start to think like, wow, something that is so massive, zeta to beta, like to even give it emotions, or to give it like even, and I know this is very triggering for some people, a gender, to me, it's like we could never fully understand God in our physical form because we are not meant to, right? So everything is just whatever you want it to be through your filter and whatever feels good to you.
Right. Well, if you go and ask 10 people who God is, you're going to get 10 different answers.
I feel like psychedelics definitely expand that mentality.
Yes. I mean, there's people where I'm like, my God is a jealous God, and my God, and we're seeing that now in politics. And I'm like, ooh, that's not the Jesus that I know, And so just like everything in life, I feel, people, politics, religion, everything has light and dark, right? And you're the one that kind of decides like the lever and the balance and how you move through these things.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's challenging, to, especially the spirituality part of it, because religion in some way, like you said, there's been some, but I find that as Christ didn't come and teach us religion, and I the more I learn about him, the more I realize that he actually challenged some of those, some of those organization structures, whatever you want to call it, and I Now, that's not to say that there's no some sort of value in religion. I'm not a Catholic, but here recently I started, just practicing Lenten. And I found a lot of, there is anything that can
explain Lenten to
Lenten,
a guy like me.
So Lent is a time before Pascua, before Easter.
Yeah.
When Jesus was in the desert 40 days, 40 nights.
Right.
And so you basically give an offering, you give something up for 40 days.
Sacrifice,
a form of sacrifice. So some people will give up chocolate, they won't eat meat on Fridays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I actually became sober through Lenten. Right. It was supposed to be 40 days, and in turn,
you gave that up.
Exactly.
I got you.
Right.
That's a good. That's like putting it right on the spot.
Right. But I think that the important thing is just the collective consciousness, and that it brings people to a common space and belief and idea where we all can practice it, right? And much like, the healing circles, right? It brings people together. And, I don't know, if you guys ever experienced it, but when I go into a mass and everybody is singing, in unison, and elevating their voices, it sounds so angelic to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is beautiful. If this helps people come together.
Yeah, because it's still the same medicine, community and ceremony.
Right.
Community and ceremony. So it doesn't have to be a healing circle. It could be a mass. I mean, some of the most profound moments that I ever had was, at church with my grandmother. The first time that I felt something in me, like the Holy Spirit, and you can call the Holy Spirit energy, love, whatever. It was, in after in a retiro. So yeah. I just think that there's medicine everywhere, and it's less about what your medicine is, and more what is your intention and what do you want to heal, and getting there in a way that feels good.
I think you hit the nail right in the head, and I think is an intention. I think it has everything to do with it. If your intention is pure, and you have to reevaluate it, every so often. It's like, because there are some hidden parts of you that sometimes you don't see, and you think you might have the right intention. I don't know if it's happened to you where
all the time. I'm when people like. I don't know anybody that has beef with me, but you hear gossip all the time. And to me, I'm just like, I don't have capacity or energy for beef. I think that we're past that as humans. That's a waste of energy.
All chicken.
No, I used to get into fights. I believe me. I have no problem stepping into warrior, but I'm trying to not.
No, it's because you said beef. I said.
Oh. Yes. But to me, it's if people are hurting.
Yeah.
I could see that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no point in even what is a worthy opponent to go into war with. Like, to me, I love people that are open and are able to have completely different points of view, but still be able to have an articulate conversation and be like, oh, I get that perspective. It may not be my perspective, and I may not utilize it, but like, I could see how that works for you. And that goes back to like, people are so unique.
But having that willingness to carry those is also how you grow.
That's
know
true.
What I mean? I feel like I've learned a lot just from being able to learn how he does his things. I don't have to go do everything he does.
No, absolutely.
Sometimes I learn through him.
No. Everyone's a mirror, right? Everyone is a mirror.
I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, where we're at now, I think as a community, I say is like letting go of the things that we can't hold anymore, that aren't like life-giving. Because to me, and maybe this is a blanket apology for anyone that I've ever hurt, but I don't have the capacity to intentionally hurt someone. I just don't. Like, if someone came in like, you did this, like, my first thought is like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry that I hurt you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I think I would say this is the evolution of our humanness is going to be that. It's going to be being sensitive and being able to feel each other, because then I wouldn't hurt you.
Yeah.
I would feel that same pain.
I feel like when you reach a certain level of healing, you don't have that intention.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a natural feeling to want to help.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or be a some sort of guidance for someone.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like when you're hurt, it's very easily to
Hurt other people.
hurt other people.
It's like they say, yeah.
or misguide them.
Right.
Because sometimes you don't have to physically or emotionally hurt someone. You can misguide someone because you're going through something and you want someone that goes through it with you.
That's when you have to be super intentional about who your healer is.
Yeah.
No, but it is. Like, there's a lot of preparation, because I need to make sure while I'm sharing my experiences that I'm that clear channel, so that I'm not projecting all of my things on people, right?
Right.
Especially, like, there have been times where I've shared very radical points of views in some of the circles, but the point there is to be open for everyone. So I can't, for a while I have been very intentional about my white relatives, and a lot of my relationships have shifted. But I want to share, like, today was so beautiful. You can't, like, go so extreme. You have to, like, right now stay open, because I'm like, these people, what they're doing to our community and this and that. And today my son had a game in Platte City, and I would have never thought that people would come and have a rally in Platte City ever. And when we're there, we're driving to the game, they're, rallying, and they have their signs, and then they're showing up. And I was like, that brought me so much hope. And I needed to remember that there is light and dark in everything, and every
everybody,
person, and everybody. And I can't just be like, F all the widows, like, because there's good people doing good things too. And then I'm recycling that same energy and that same thing that they're projecting out towards our people.
100%.
And so
you're absolutely right.
I feel like when you start to heal, you don't just see what's in front of you, but you're able to see past it, right? I'm able to recognize that maybe you've never been in a safe space, in a safe relationship before, for you to be able to really vocalize how you feel. Or I recognize that you don't know how to adequately express yourself, so you yell instead. Then you start to have more compassion for people, because then you see that it's just their programming and what they were used to, more than
you see their hurt, not their actions.
Yeah,
100%. I agree with you, but I think it's so important that you touched on that part of not putting everybody in the same box, because you're right. If you're feeding off that energy, then you can't fix what's going. You can't attempt to fix what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's absolutely. That is so true. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, because we see that so much in people, like that bully mentality of, like, why is a bully a bully? It's usually because something happened to them that made them be that way, And so that doesn't mean that you don't hold people accountable, and that you don't have boundaries, and that you don't communicate. But to me, I just feel like, and it's harder for people to hurt me, because now I can recognize, like, oh, I see what the intention was. That wasn't your intention, but you don't know how to. And what's really beautiful that I've really been practicing is when someone. Can we cuss? Oh, I always cuss.
Yes, absolutely.
When we fuck up, like, how you treat. I know, I just want to be respectful. How you treat people after they fuck up.
Yeah.
And I would love to share a story with you guys from one of my elders, grandmother Susan. She just shared about, they have a lot of kids that come and stay with them that were had very big traumatic experiences or were trafficked, and they stay there so that they have, like, a grandmother, and they heal through ceremony and indigenous beliefs and stories. And she just shared they had a young boy. And when he got there, loving on him, told him what the rules of the house, were, like, no cussing, no stealing, no whatever. And she said she found her husband's pocketbook in his room, and she's like, you're gonna have to go and tell him that you took this. And you know, it's a kid, I'm sure, like survival, you take things, you steal things, whatever. And he was like, no, I don't want to tell him. I don't want to tell him. She's like, this is part of it. Like, you made this mistake. You need to go and tell him. She said he went out. He was by the fire. Grandfather Brad, who's no longer with us. But, the kid came in crying, ran into his room. And then Grandfather Brad came out with the pocketbook behind him. And she's like, well, you know, what's going on? And he said, I'm going to gift this to him because we don't have thieves in this house. So by him giving him that pocketbook, that took that thing from him being a thief and stealing that from him to instead being a gift. And so the same thing happened, you know, in my apprenticeship with students. Someone dropped the ball on something because I'm really big on not sharing people's stories unless I have their permission. And something was just shared and it came back to me. And I was like, oh my God, my students, like, And my guides were like, no, wait until the class. And they actually encouraged me to drink some cacao. That's something that I'm known for too, is cacao is a heart opener. And that was one of the most transformative moments that we had as a class, because they were so worried about what I was going to say. And they were like, who's the one that messed up, you know? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to love you through it. And like, I understand. And how many of us have been able to experience love after we messed up? And how differently would you process that if you were loved through it instead of shamed or guilt?
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, because sometimes, like as a man, you never really know if someone loves you until you mess up.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
And that's why when you said that, I was like, very true, for at least for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely it's definitely a filter. It's definitely a filter of figuring out who really does love you.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely looked up on differently.
Yeah, because it's easy to love someone when they're doing good.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And like, we're stupid because we don't know that. We don't know that the level of love that we have in that moment, we fuck up. And then it wakes us up. And then you realize, holy fuck, this is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, but how does that shift you going forward?
I feel like that depends on the person.
That's
you know,
true.
definitely depends on the person and who they want to be.
Yeah.
Then, you know, I've always been the person that I know my responsibility when I have it.
Yeah.
I know that when God gives me someone, I know that responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And some people don't.
Yeah.
And that's what makes and breaks some people.
Yeah. That does make, I do believe that it's not like the conflict, but how you have like the resolution and what happens afterwards that makes you stronger. And some of my stronger friendships are people that I know, regardless of whatever, we're going to talk through it and we're going to move through it. So then the problem becomes much smaller. It doesn't have like this huge impact because this is something that we have to figure out together instead of like us against each other. It's us against whatever this thing is.
Or cutting them off completely in every, you know, right?
And not even facing it. Because when you don't face it, it's just going to come up and someone else, as someone else.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, how do you still maintain those relationships after in some way you've been rejected, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how you feel. It feels, you know, that you were judged, and at least in my, you know, experience and how I've reacted to that is just indifference. I, you know, or keep my distance and never acknowledge those people again. And I currently have people out there that I don't see eye to eye with no more, that we were really good friends with, you know, and actually I had this guy at the gym the other day. I'm not going to mention any names, but he judged me quite a bit when I was going through my divorce. He had a lot to say about it. And it's crazy because he's in a similar situation now. where he's going through his process, and he tried to get my attention, at the gym, and I treat him very indifferently. And after the fact, I thought maybe I should have handled that differently. Maybe
handled it better.
Yeah, maybe I should have handled it better.
But I feel like that's why it's like yes or no. It depends, right? Because I'm working. To me, I would have like had the conversation and we sat down and I'm trying so hard to be more, to not be like the first person that jumps in and helps, right? Because I am that comes very natural to me. For me to be a warrior, for me to be a protector, for me to be front lines, sacrifice. That I got down. So I'm working so hard on bringing in balance of ease, on trusting that others will come in, on taking care of myself first, which is hard when you're have a servant's heart, And so to me, a lot of the relationships, I just had to love them go because it's not a door that I want to open again. They're not at a place where I even want to continue that relationship. So I love them go. But before I would want to, I wanted to be loved by everyone and I wanted to fix everything. And what my boys have shown me, which they have great boundaries, is, we have a neighbor. She's out there. She's very out there. We've had a couple incidents with her.
Yeah.
And recently there was an ambulance. And so I was like, oh my gosh, let's send her some prayers. Let's send her love. And my kids were like, no, we don't care about this lady. We're not, they're like, because she's done some hurtful things. And they're like, we're not going to wish her bad, but I'm also not going to send her love. All right. And that's a boundary for them. And I'm like, wow, where I'm like the opposite, where sometimes I have had pain because of my own fault of not having those boundaries or cutting off those relationships when they already showed me who they really are.
Right. And that's, essentially,
I was actually going to add to that. I feel like forgiving is okay.
Oh, yeah. Forgiveness, because that clears you.
Yeah. But also, because I know that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I had a similar situation. And my situation, there was actually physical harm done. You know what I mean? And when it happened, I was like, I need to retaliate because, one of my friends got hurt, severely got hurt. I didn't, and it was my issue. So in my mind, I was like, I need revenge
to do something,
not only for me but for him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I felt like God would just told me, just wait, just wait and watch. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, it took a long time.
Yeah, and
as the time went by, I started seeing them fall by themselves, one by one.
You didn't have to do anything.
I didn't have to do anything. And the ones I didn't apologized to me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like you. I was just like you the first time, but I was intoxicated when he came up to me. And I treated him like an asshole.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And after then, I was like, why did I do that?
Well, I can't be an asshole, but I could be indifferent. And
that's what I'm saying. I was arrogant. I took advantage of his vulnerability in that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, this dude was we were young, at the time. He wasn't even probably in control of himself. He was trying to he was trying to impress his friends. And in your case, maybe it was a wife thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But we never know.
We never know. We never know. But I do feel like there's always work to be done. There's always work to be done. And I utilize those, opportunities to self-reflect and see if there was something there that I still need to work on. Because, at least personally, I could say that there is no hatred in my heart.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I don't wish ill on anybody.
Right.
And so, but at the same time, I do want to show up with grace because I might need it. I know I definitely have needed grace. And And so I want to make sure that I'm being reciprocal to life, where if I'm receiving it, then I'm also giving it.
Yeah.
You know.
For me, it's grace and patience right now. Grace and patience. Just, people, things shift, change. I'm like, grace and patience.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? What does that sound like? When you start to embody those things.
Yeah, it's so interesting because the other emotions, the more negative emotions like anger and fear, you can feel them and they're like in a very tangible way. But when it comes to higher vibrating emotions like gratitude, like, grace, joy, and those are, at least for me, have been a little bit more challenging to actually feel to that same intensity.
Ooh,
I
I have a practice for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I take any pointers because I've been part of being present is being able to feel, but why is it so difficult to be present and feel the better the positive emotions as opposed to the negative?
Something that I'll do, especially like with those emotions, and sometimes I have to remind my body, and I'm like, remind me what it feels like to feel safe in the body. Remind me what it feels like to feel grace in my body. And you allow yourself to feel it, right? And to some people, it feels fuzzy. To some people, they visualize something. To some people, it's more of a sensation or a color or a tingling in the body. But you're like calling it in. And then when you start to pay attention to the things that you call in and how powerful your voice is and the way that you talk about things and the way that you talk about people, it starts to really shift everything.
So it's saying it out loud, but is there, like, let's say,
I have a question.
Maybe go ahead.
Have you ever had a severe anxiety attack?
I have.
Have you ever talked to yourself during it?
I've breathed through it.
Have you talked? Have you?
Mentally, I think you're like, you kind of think it's gonna pass.
Yeah. For me, what she was saying, I remember when I had mine, my heart was about to explode, and I remember telling myself like I wasn't telling myself, I was asking God to help me feel better, like she was saying, like show me what it feels like to feel better. Take this away, take this down, and while I was doing it, I felt the difference. Like I felt the peace, but as soon as I would stop, it would like come back. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's,
Yeah, no, you're plugging into it. So then we start to get into frequencies and energies, right? Because you are plugging into that. So then when you start to pay attention, like, what am I plugging into every day? What am I listening to? Who am I plugging into?
Yeah.
I'm feeding my energy field. I'm feeding myself.
I have another question for you guys.
Yeah.
When you guys get in these frequencies and these conversations, do you guys feel anxiety?
Like in this space right now?
When you start talking about consciousness and deep conversations like that.
So I want to tell you that like excitement and anxiety are the same chemical reactions in the body.
That makes sense.
So you may be feeling excitement instead of anxiety, and what a difference that's going to be in your mind.
Why is it crippling if it's exciting?
Because it's a lot, and it's basically like your body is plugging into like a bigger battery than it can handle. So then it's like a surge.
It's like connecting into this.
Yes. And so like by breathing, by grounding, by let it move through you, because a lot of it too is with pain, with anything that is big and impact, we try to fight it, right?
Yeah.
We tense up. And so when I'm walking someone through, say, thank you. The first time that I did this, it was like, it was in college, and because my ex's mom was a healer, and we broke up, and she wanted me. She's like, what's your biggest fear? It's like that he starts talking to someone else. And she had me visualize that, she had me visualize that. And I was like, I was like short circuiting and crying and snot. And she's like, stop fighting it, see it and breathe it. And like in the moment that I just focus on my breath and let it move through me, then it wasn't like that. It's because and that's why so much of what we do is because we don't want to feel pain. So we will run from it, we'll tense up, we'll do whatever to not feel it, and then we end up creating even more.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that I deal with that a lot in terms of trying not to feel what God sometimes tries to put me through.
Yeah.
To stretch me.
Oh, you're stubborn too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when the quitting mentality kicks in.
I don't struggle with that anymore. I'm able to move through it. But what I've been trying to work on is how to respond during it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I tend to respond negatively, where with like let's say maybe cynicism, right? Where I think that I just start viewing people in a certain way where I want to maybe act from a place of judgment. Or maybe self-judgment.
Yeah.
And then I start getting to the space where it's just not productive at all. Where maybe I maybe start shut down, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'm not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, once I come to terms with it, how do I respond in a better way?
Yeah.
And so that's been the thing. And I think in order for me to respond to in a better way, I have to move through those emotions maybe faster.
Experience.
I don't, and that's been a challenge for me.
Yeah, because I think in the beginning for me, it was like being able to, I was still kind of using the brain to like analyze and like, this was what I was supposed to do and this was, and then I think what starts to happen, you start to do it like in real time and you start like almost like how you said, you talk to yourself. It's another voice that it's like, this is what I chose before and I always do this. Let's try something new. For me, like I said, it's something that I always work through is abandonment things, right? And when I was
you work with abandonment emotions?
Yeah, like my inner child, I have to make sure that she always feels supported and safe.
Let's talk about abandonment.
Yeah,
I'm excited about this one.
Okay.
Because I feel like I experience it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily me, but my partner. What in your case?
Yeah.
Where did that start?
It came from everything from how I was born, to leaving my country, having to come here, having like a lot of people around and family around, but not having my father there.
Oh, so you came here on your own?
No, I came with my mom. Okay. So my dad came first because it wasn't safe for him to be in Mexico. So he moved and we went into hiding. When he had enough money, he brought us over. And so like that, during that time, I was 5 years old. So I think that it's less like, what is the thing that created the abandonment? And it's more like there was a time in my life where I felt like I was left or that I had to maneuver through things alone. And that creates the abandonment issue because it's not about the trauma. It's about you as a child having to navigate some things by yourself.
Okay. And then now what triggers those emotions?
When the same type of things come up, when for me, I had a birthday party when I was in junior high. No one came. When I was 30, I had a big party and like no one came. And so there's always like, oh, no one's going to show up. And what I had to step into that in community because you can't focus on that. You just have to create, and you have to create the space. And it actually was in my very first energy healing class that I was teaching, a Reiki class. I wanted the class to be full. I wanted it to be sold out. So I was like, no, just come. And the day of, they were like dropping like flies. And my guides told me, like, your worst fear is happening. Like, now what? Are you going to not serve the people that are showing up because it doesn't look good or it's less people? And it ended up being the most beautiful thing. So I learned early on that it's more about the impact that I have in people and less about the number of people and what it looks like and what the stage looks like and the accolades and the light and all of those things. And once I kind of let that go, those things naturally came, you know. But it was funny because I had a big event about a couple of weeks ago for Mexico through I Have an Immigrant. And the morning of, you know, some nonprofits couldn't make it. Some of the vendors couldn't make it. And I heard my inner child go like, not again, you know? And I was like, oh, okay. But I was aware enough to recognize it. Like, we're good. The people that are going to be here are going to be here. All the times I focus on the people that weren't there, that this time I chose to focus on the people that were there, and it completely changed my experience.
That's a very difficult thing to deal with when you're a person that does events.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like...
You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah, you're doing everything you can. Because I resonate with that when it came to us performing. We used to do music, and, you know, we'd perform to 2-3 people sometimes.
But those 2-3 people are like, hey, right? So I'm just like, let it be
more
that.
people on the stage than...
we had more people on the stage than in front of us.
But see, and in that moment, it's terrifying. But now it's like...
I remember one time they told us we were going to perform at Fiesta KC. We did, but it was like a Sunday 10 a.m.
They're like putting up the chairs.
Yeah, we were performing to the freaking people putting the show together.
The chairs had a great show.
The guys over there putting up tents, they're like, okay, cool, yeah.
But you remember those moments even more than even sometimes when things go right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, it's really trying to frame it in a way where it seems digestible, and that's what I've been trying to do. Is how can I reframe this in a way where it's beneficial for the people still, you know, that depend on me? Because either way, it requires an action from you.
Yeah.
Either way, you're still going to be there in that situation.
Yeah.
Right. You're still going to have to perform.
Yeah.
You know, in whatever way.
When you say abandonment, can you explain how that emotion feels for you?
It's loneliness.
It's loneliness?
And even...
It's not rejection.
No, it's not rejection.
Does it come with depression?
With other people, because then you start to think like, what's wrong with me? Instead of like, man, well, this person's kid had an ear infection and this person got sick. You know, you start to make it just about how because you're looking at through the lens of your inner child. And to me, like, to see things from a little 4-year-old, a little 5-year-old is completely different, because you kind of put the blame on you versus these are just circumstances that are happening around you.
Right.
That may have nothing to do with you. And so, but I think part of that has been to show up, to do the things that I would want for myself, for other people. And then it just, you know, and when those opportunities come up, choosing something different.
I kind of relate to you in a sense, because when I was little, my dad left us too. He left first for like 6 months, came and tested the waters. And those 6 months were hard for me. I was like 3 or 4, bro. They were hard. You know what I mean? And luckily, we caught up to him pretty fast. But I do remember those 6 months. I could just imagine having to go, you know, longer.
Yeah. And, you know, my mom was like pregnant. She had our youngest brother months after we got here to the U.S. And he's the only one that was born here. And, you know, my mom and I used to like bump heads all the time. But like now I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, you started having kids at 25 and you had, you know, 5 kids under the age of 6. like,
I feel like
oh my God, like,
I feel like she should have been on this chair
because I'm just like, oh wow, now I'm like, she is such a superwoman, and to go from like, that's why like when people talk about resilience and like, I'm like, the real heroes is everyone that we're prosecuting right now. When I get mad, my Spanglish starts to kick in. But like los inmigrantes, like they come here not knowing the language, not knowing like a lot of the things, and se atreven to be something greater than what they've been told, and to step up and do something for the people around them. And to me, I don't know, there's so much medicine in that, like you said, that perspective change and just seeing things from a different light. And when you are tethered down and heavy and you don't allow yourself to heal, it's hard to move, right? It's hard to see things from different perspective. You're just kind of like, this is it.
How was tell me about your relationship with your mother.
Ooh.
What were the complications that you guys dealt with?
So, my mother was, or is, the oldest daughter. My grandmother had 16 births, 13 live children. So she never got to be a child, right?
Yeah.
She was in a mother role since she was born. And we always bumped heads. And I think it felt, for me growing up, it felt like we were always competing.
Yeah.
It felt like we were always fighting. I was a total like daddy's girl, and me and my mom would bump heads. And, she's such a mirror, because every time that we've bumped heads, first it was like, me growing up. Then, she really wanted me to be very like traditional, get married, be a nice. I did those things too, but I've always been like, I'm gonna do shit my own way, right? So when I was like, I'm going to Kansas for soccer, they couldn't tell me no, but they're also like, find a nice Mexican man. Latinos were not fucking with me. They were not. They're like, too much, So I moved out
because you weren't traditional.
Because I wasn't traditional, and I didn't put up with a lot of shit, and so it's like I challenge people.
Yeah.
So sometimes I am very triggering for people because they want to put me in a box, or they want to make me a certain way, and I just like refuse.
Right.
Like, my biggest lesson in this lifetime and that I need to do is be free. And so anything that hinders me, anytime that I feel caged, anytime I feel like I can't open my wings, I will stop and fix that like right then and there. So,
and that's something that I always admire about you, because it takes guts to do that. It really does, right? And you're right. We can't put you in a box. There's no way, because like you decided to break that box probably when you went from the corporate world to doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
Right. Regardless of what people thought.
Yeah.
And that's takes courage, as admirable, and here you are doing the work.
Yes, but I do want to get back to my mama.
Yeah, I wanted to.
And so, she had a really hard time with the work that I was doing, because she's like, only a priest can heal, only God can heal. And I'm like, well, it's not me. Like, it's my team, and it's angels, and it doesn't, not just a man can heal. I challenge some things, and but I actually had to like break up with her. And I had to break up with my mom, because I had to break up how we were, how the relationship was. Right. And so I remember it was a really hard conversation. And I said, Mom, I'm going to set you free. I'm setting you free from responsibilities as a mother. I'm setting you free from your worry, because siempre estaba preocupada, right? I'm setting you free from like just needing to worry about me. And I could feel like her heart breaking, and that was a really hard thing to say. But I was like, I want to get to know you as a woman. I want to get to know you as a human. I don't just want to talk about like the 3 subjects that we always talk about. And until and then I had to put effort in rebuilding that relationship. But now it's more of a friendship. We see each other, we can give each other advice. There isn't like this hierarchy anymore, because I think parents are always going to see us as their kids. And I would say every time I would go back home, I would revert back to like my 12-year-old self, and I would lose all of my tools and all of my. And now I know after 7 days, it gets a little testy.
You get comfortable.
Yeah. And so I know how to navigate that now. But, now I have nothing but just, and now she listens. Now we guide each other. Now it's on equal grounds. Yeah. And I just have more compassion. Learns from you now too. She's open, to hearing me now. Some things she's kind of like, meh, but.
Yeah, I think, like, in the mother sense, it's difficult for a mother to lose that. I don't want to say authority.
No, but that type of connection.
Yeah, because they do have to learn how to let, like my mom had to let. She still struggles to let me go in terms of like allowing me to be, free and become who I want to become. Yeah. Because for the longest, she had this idea of what she wanted me to be. Yeah. But then they brought me to America, and then I was influenced by things that they never even imagined. And then here's Rick, this whole different person that they never even imagined.
Yeah. Having a conversation with my parents now.
My mom wanted me to be a
abogado.
Un sacerdote.
Oh, sacerdote. Everybody, right? Same. My mom, everyone wants a nun or a priest in the family.
Can't even imagine it.
Man, no, but shout out to Coco and David.
What's crazy is I say that because, she's always wanted me to be there. I never knew why. I knew that she wanted me to follow the right path, but in my life, I've had the gift of people wanting my advice. You know what I mean? And
you have an old soul, Rick.
I don't know what I got.
He's like, I don't know what this is.
I don't know what this is. I just know that I have a responsibility with it, because every time that someone's came to me, I knew right then and there that I knew my responsibility. I knew that, God had sent them and he's about to use me. And because I knew that I had to pray about it, because I knew that I didn't have the words or even an angle. Yeah. But somehow, some way, it always worked out. Yeah. And that, in return, was the proof for me that someone was there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was, but my mom has that. Hers is different.
Yeah, everybody has lowness.
But it's like I'm very blessed to have carried something from my mom in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it just makes me feel connected. That's what puts the stamp on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that we do have really beautiful connections in our communities and in our families. And like, we see that, and we see that now, especially with everything that is happening. And that's why it's so hard to watch what is happening in the immigrant community and seeing these babies and these parents, because it feels very abrupt, and I don't think people recognize what the consequences of these actions are going to be, because we are so just what's in the now, so those babies are always in my heart. And that's why but with all of the grief and the pain and the rage that I feel when I see these things, it's not just about sitting in it. I'm like, what can I create from this? What beauty can come from this? And so right now, I know that my energy field, I'm like attracting a ton of chefs and a ton of creatives and a ton of artists, because they're creating all the time, right? They're tapping into that spirit form, and they're birthing something, whether, and when someone is like in their purpose and is locked in, I always say I love to watch that and experience that, because it's a very unique energy.
It's contagious.
Yeah. And you're just like, it's very inspiring. And so right now I'm just getting to know as many just people that it just inspire me, because I want to not just sit in the pain of what is happening, but to take that and create something beautiful for our community with it.
Yeah. And when you surround yourself with like-minded people, it makes you feel like you're not doing something unuseful. You know what I mean? Because they're able to just being around creative sometimes multiplies my ideas.
Shout out to Latino creators. Yay!
It multiplies my ideas because it creates it opens a door that you didn't see before. You know what I mean?
And you can feel people that are in the same energy because just like bang, 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 bang. And then afterwards you feel refreshed and renewed instead of draining. And because I've been in relationships where I'm the one that's always giving and then I would just leave exhausted all the time. And I've done a really good job of clearing some of those relationships out.
Yeah.
And also like seeing like what within me felt like I always had to be, you know, and some of these were with my white relationships. And like, why do I always have to do this role of not the servant, but the person that is nourishing and taking care of all the time? I'm always the giver.
Do you feel like that's a stigma we have as Latinos?
Yeah, and I think a part of it is the colonization, you know? Like, that's why sometimes I have a hard time. I have a good friend that literally she did move from San Diego down to Mexico and has kind of been sharing her journey. And she says, I have such a hard time to hear my people, like everything is mande, para servirte, da, 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 da. And I think that there's a beauty in that, what we were talking about. Like, that is a really beautiful thing.
It is.
But we're just within this infrastructure.
That comes from that culture of like the encomienda, you know, of just something being asked of them. And
they're going
to serve and whatnot. And it's hard for our people to receive.
Yeah, I feel like that changes
really
a lot
is.
in America.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
And, you know, that was like the biggest thing that really shifted my perspective. And I'm going to say I love them go. These people, I wish them nothing but the best. But and in breaking up with some of these relationships was because, you know, I've been a huge advocate of what's happening in Gaza and those children. Because I think all children deserve to be safe and to be fed and to be happy. All children. Everywhere, not just certain ones. And to see it happen there, and now we're seeing it happen here with our own community. And where was I going with this? Sorry, guys, I lost my train of thought.
I've done it too.
When it's like a really big message, sometimes I'm like, oh, yes. But I broke up with a lot of these friendships because I started to be like, would these people stand up for my kids if they didn't know that they were my kids? So basically, are they standing up for other brown kids, black kids, other kids that are not theirs? And the answer was no. And then I was pissed. And then I was like, my children deserve to have people around them that are going to pour into them, that are going to keep them protected, and they're going to be that community around them. And then, so, you know, sácate. And then, so I transitioned out of a lot of those friendships. And then I was like, wait, I too deserve to have people around me that love me and inspire me and are going to pour into me just like I would pour into them. And that's really like what the standard is for me now. Like it is people that are open, people that are willing to work through things, people that are going to show up, people that show up in their actions and not just their words. And the people that I'm attracting and bringing in my life now, it happens quickly. Like we're not going through the I want to say like the dating and like the going back and forth. It's almost like I see you, I trust you, and we see each other. And
there's this sense of recognition,
and
familiarity.
Yes, and so it's easier to navigate into the stuff that feels good.
It's like telekinesis.
But it's true. It's true. I mean, I am super close, obviously, to my best friend. There's times where I'm just like thinking of her and like, she'll call me. I'm like, yep, called you in, you know? And believing that it is a connection and not just, oh, this is something weird that happened.
Those connections are real. You know what I mean? Those people are the most impactful people in your life sometimes. You know?
I love my friendships. My friendships, like the way that I love my friends, it is just as powerful as family. It is like, I think that sometimes as humans, we only allow ourselves to, when we think about love, we think about family love, and then we think about like sexual love. And I think that there's a whole spectrum of feelings and love and things that we don't allow ourselves to just because of the way that we're programmed. Because some of my friends are just as important as my children and my family.
Yeah, we were talking about that in one of the episodes where, because like when we leave Mexico, we lose our deals, we lose all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And as friends over here, we don't become that to our friends, most of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the kids end up growing without that. They end up growing without the cousins, all that.
But that's why we have community uncles.
Yeah. No, and I'm learning that with Mario through the marriage, because they got, my buddy got married, and that's one of the first times I've ever been a groomsman. You know what I'm saying? And it came from a different culture, not mine. Yeah. And I was actually surprised because I was like, wow, I thought my own people would have invited me to one of you know what I'm saying? But my black friend made me the groomsman.
But isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Like, to me, I feel like I'm like, I'm already married, or I'd invite you to mine. But no, but I think that we're also at a place right now where we're really being called to bring communities together, right? Yeah. And like to let go of the past, because it is the same fight. It is the same journey, destination that we all want to get to. And I think that sometimes people have fear because they're like, I don't know how to act in this space or whatever. And it is uncomfortable, but like, and maybe will help someone out there, but whenever you're invited into a space that it's not something that's normal for you, whether it's a culture or just anything different, like you just show up. To me, it's like you don't show up with empty hands, right? You bring something. You are super respectful. You wait until you're invited in. You don't make the space about you. And to me, I just like observe, and I try to help any way that I can without, sometimes you want to help and you end up being in the way, but
or being used.
Yeah. So, but, getting to know different cultures, like obviously I have an immigrant como, they're Punjabi, and you start to see how much we actually have in common, and you start to see like the beautiful things. So people that want to, that's why sometimes I'm like, out of all the things that you can be in the world, you want to be racist? Because to me, like being racist is so boring. Like you only want one thing in one way, and it's small people live in small worlds, and I'm like, wakala, like I want to savor life. I want to explore. I want diversity. I want my kids to be cultured. I want them to speak different languages. I want them to be able to navigate different spaces. Like that to me is beautiful,
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that, because I feel like I wouldn't have became who I am now if I wouldn't have took that chance. And it also made my mom, like, it changed her, because she was very blocked from that at the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, are we gonna go there? Are we gonna talk about the things that are wrong within our culture, the colorism, and there are things that we need. Yeah.
Granted, my mom, we come from Mexico. Like it wasn't like she was here for a long time. Right. She wasn't used to none of the whole melting pot of America.
Yeah.
So it was gonna be hard for her. I grew up here. After 6 years old, I grew up here, so I was already more accustomed to, being friends with different people than them. So I don't blame her for feeling the way she did, but I am grateful that she was able to shift and find the love in there. You know what I'm saying? Rather than not, because now she wants more kids.
Right?
She wants more mixed kids. Now.
Yeah. No, my mom had a hard time too when I got engaged to my husband, because he's Afro-Latino.
For me, not.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's her favorite person, know? Yeah. And that's like the whole thing, like hate is not natural. You learned it there was an incident that happened or something where you created those stories. But if you allowed yourself to experience something different, to get to know someone, and I think that that's the part where I did put a lot of pressure on myself in the way that I showed up, because I felt for such a long time, I'm representing all Latinos, right? Like, I got to be a good girl in this room because, you know, they're going to stereotype me and I don't want to be that angry Latina. But
because you're the Latina.
Right. But now I'm like, fuck that shit, because they're going to fucking make up their mind regardless.
Right.
They've already made up their mind about who you are anyways, unless someone that is aware and conscious and isn't doing that. So be you. Be you, because it doesn't really matter anyways, because they're going to think what they're going to think. Yeah. So I like to be as Latina as possible at all times.
And you do that gracefully. Because
it's dope to be Latina.
Do you feel like sometimes our people judge us for like the cultural aspect that we picked up?
In what way? Like you think?
Like for me, I'm gonna be honest. It's like we se cree negro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm not, because like, look at my hat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still represent my culture. It's just I'm not traditional. Right.
But that's an insecurity of them, right? And so I'm like,
I mean, honestly, that's I know that's how I'm judged. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But the whole thing is like, how does it affect you? Are you still like, ooh? Me? Or you're just like, all right.
You don't give a fuck.
Yep. I'm gonna rep for all my relatives at all times.
You know what inspired me one day is there was a little kid. He was like probably 10 years old, young kid. And I walked in, and he was like, "That's your girlfriend?" He was a little Mexican kid, and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're a lucky guy." I was like, "Bet, bro."
Yes.
You know, and it's just like I said, like, it's just I'm inspiring people who are like me. Yeah. And I don't necessarily have to pick up everyone. You know what I'm saying?
No. You always. So one of the things that I do for fun to let go of control, because I try to practice like letting go of control. Yeah. So sometimes when I go get my nails done, I'm like, do whatever you want to them. Cut them down, make them long, paint them a funky color, whatever. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God. Right? It's really uncomfortable for me. But what I found, someone's going to like them. Yeah. Someone's going to like them. And some of the ones that they've done, I'm just like, oh, these are crazy nails. And it's like, it's the young people that are like, those are dope. Or like, whatever. So I've just learned, like, it's going to attract somebody.
But that's what makes people, that's what makes inspiring people, is the people that can find that they're pathfinders. Yeah, basically is what they're. You know,
setting new paths.
And you can never go out of style when you do that.
Authenticity. You know, you were talking about that earlier.
Authenticity. You just gotta be yourself. And I know it's uncomfortable, and I know that we're told otherwise around professionalism and in certain rooms, and you can be all, that's the whole thing. You don't have to choose. You can be all the things. You can be professional and Latino. You can be, brilliant and when you start to like read and educate yourself and like remember, you just start to see how so many of these things are just made up. Yeah. They're just made up.
There's somebody's idea is being projected out onto you.
Oh my gosh.
And if you start conforming to all of that, you lose yourself in the process.
And that's why it's so important. Like, what are you speaking into your kids? Yeah. Right? Because like they believe everything that you say. And so I'm always like, man, you are powerful. You are, Cruz is like a warrior. So I'm constantly reminding him, but loving is so easy for you, but you're so kind, let's choose this next time, or, so I try to be super mindful, and I'm trying to speak life into people. That's why, I say that I'm not an influencer, I'm more of like a supporter, because you'll find me, I'm liking everyone's stuff. I'm like, yes, go. And like, I want to bring life into people. I don't want to take, I don't want to, I want to leave them with something good.
Absolutely.
And then we start to think about like legacy, right? I think a lot of the times when we talk about legacy, we think about like the businesses and the things that we leave behind, but it's the impact on people. Like, I want to leave people better than I found them, And so then what does that take? That takes me showing up authentically. That takes, being vulnerable. But that, for me.
It is what you leave behind. That the last thing that people remember were hopefully, good things. Because like George, I have a friend that passed away 2023, and we butt heads a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because we were both very strong and spiritual.
Alphas.
Yeah, alphas and spiritual too, and different types of beliefs. You know what I'm saying? But the love between us was like brothers. You know what I mean? But I don't remember our fights. I remember how much I grew from all the things he taught me.
And part of the legacy that he left behind, you're sitting in it right now.
Yeah,
this space, ozone layer.
We were at, the reason we called it ozone was because we always had these conversations, like crazy, and he wanted to write a book, and the only way I knew how to help him was if I recorded our conversations, and then he could pick from that.
Yeah.
And then it turned into this.
Yeah.
And that's something?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like creation, legacy, doing that in like his honor too is beautiful too.
Yeah.
I bet you guys feel him all the time.
I do, for sure. Like I said, every time he comes up a lot on the podcast because there's always something that connects him. But I guess it's supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Because he was a very private guy too. He did not like being on social media. And I used to tell him, like, how are you gonna do this, bro?
Yeah, but sometimes it's about creating, right? It's about writing the book and getting it out more than like the monetary value or the expansion. That's why I think what you guys do, and as influencers, it's you have to be so centered because it is so easy to get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, and from a creator's perspective, like when I started music, and I remembered I was very inconsistent because I wanted to make music when I felt it.
Yes.
Because I felt like if I tried to fight it with consistency, I would create things that weren't
authentic to you,
authentic to me, or they weren't good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Because I create music for the demand.
Yeah,
and even sometimes with the podcasting, like we can go fast, but it doesn't mean we're gonna get any quality from it. Yeah. We're just gonna be generating things.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So that's when when people mention influencer, I take that word kind of very serious because I'm like, what are we influencing, and who are we and how are we going to influence these people? Are we going to be responsible? You know what I'm saying? And that's something that not everyone decides to do.
Yeah, because you guys are conscious.
Because it's a numbers game too, It's a numbers game. People start following numbers and they forget that they are literally putting seeds out there, Yeah,
to me, social media is like a portal.
Yeah.
And so what are you taking in? What are you putting out? And you just have to be super centered to make sure that you don't get off kilter, because it is so easy to just doom scroll or to just, like you said, start creating because the demand is there versus having that pull.
That's a beautiful legacy, to just want to leave people in a better, better off than what they were. I think I have something similar. I just want to pass the torch, to the next generation in my bloodline. Mine is a little bit more narrow, better than what it was handed. And that's what I try to do with my.
And we see that with your girls. Yeah.
My babies.
No, but he adds a lot of value to a lot of things that he involves himself into.
Well, yeah, he's like a man of integrity. Like when I think about Dennis, it's someone that I can like call it. And when I met you, it was like you were at a pretty significant crossroads, and to be able to see like all the work that you have done and how you show up, and
this guy keeps you on track for sure.
Hey man, you know what? I couldn't do it without the people that are around me. You guys are a great part of that experience. You've been part of my healing journey. You've been there of some of my worst and had some wise words to say exactly at the time that I needed to hear them. And so yeah, no.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm a clown. How do I help people?
No, but it's because they trust you.
Yeah. No, it's because my way of communicating is
Humor.
Humor.
My husband's like that
Yeah.
too. He's like, you can say whatever you want as long as it's funny.
I literally, I believe, like, I remember I used to be a project manager, and I would piss off the owner because things would go fucking so bad that I would laugh. I would laugh from it because I'm like, what? How much worse can this get?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he'd be like, "This is serious, man." I was like, "I'm serious," but it's like, what do you want me to do? There's nothing else we could do right now. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a great quality to have.
Yeah.
To laugh. Sometimes you just gotta laugh
too. Yeah, like at the ridiculousness of things sometimes, of the human experience.
If you don't have a sense of humor in this day and age, man,
if you can't laugh at yourself, then you're screwed.
I'm saying.
Yeah, but sometimes, you're like, bro, take this serious. You know?
Yeah. That's one quality that I admire about my dad.
Yeah.
My dad, man, you can't have a serious conversation with that guy. He's always laughing. Always something.
That's how I want to die.
Yeah.
I want to die laughing.
Oh man, that'd be a great way to go.
I get it from my dad too.
Yeah.
Because my dad will sit down and start telling a story. And it's like, oh my God, the story's deep. It's
the whole journey.
And then something just comes and pops. It just like literally took me for 30 minutes.
You're great storytellers. But that's the whole thing. We are great storytellers. So start to look at what are the stories that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, because it has it's never about what happened to you, but the story that you tell yourself about the things that happened to you. That's what shapes your entire reality. It's your belief system, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've been going on for a couple hours.
I was going to say, what time is it?
We're about to hit 2 hours at 6:30.
We're right about where we like to keep it, 2-hour podcast or so. I think we could go on and on. There's so much,
but
so much to talk about, and but
revisit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. I feel like all my podcasts sometimes end up being like healing sessions.
Yeah. Well, that's why we do it, because honestly,
it is.
We find it very healing sometimes.
Because it's the things that need to be witnessed and need to be said in a safe space. So this is like a healing circle, y'all.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I certainly appreciate your presence here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to be here with us and, Ozone Lair. And this is your space too. If you ever want to circle back around and continue to chop it up,
yes,
you're always welcome.
Thank you for having me. In Kansas City, just keep doing your thing, keeping open as a community, showing out for one another, keeping each other safe, encouraging each other to grow and to expand, and just, share that love out there. We love you, KC.
Yes,
Amen.
sir. Yes,
Amen.
Sir. Kansas City, you heard her. Subscribe.
See ya. Awesome. Thank you, sis.
This is good, y'all.
Yes, no, it went exactly how I needed to go. It flew very organically. So.